Welcome, everybody, to Stay Curious. I'm your host, Mark Marquette. We're so glad you've joined us this Friday, September 26th, 2025, with a true partner of the American Space Museum, space journalist and photographer, Mr. Tom Usciak. Hello, Tommy.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. Great to
Good.
see you.
Good to
You've
see
been here
everyone.
since last night, but this is sort of the first time you and I've had a chance to really sit down and talk as you have had a luncheon with some of your photography friends, and you can tell us about that in a minute. Tom and his brother Mark had a little company with Steve
Noli.
Noli and Bob Preston that covered over 60 American shuttle launches. And Tom started way back in college in the 70s photographing some Apollo launches. We'll see your brag book here in just a minute, but he also is here to donate or on loan to the museum a piece of equipment that took this great picture behind me here. So, Tom, how are you? Tell everybody about how Lancaster, Pennsylvania, your hometown, is here as the fall's approaching.
Well, it's one of the most beautiful times of the year in all of Pennsylvania when the leaves turn. Seems they turn first in the western and northern counties in Pennsylvania, and then they work their way down to south central Pennsylvania, southeastern Pennsylvania, where I live, and in a couple weeks it should be very nice.
Now, you had a photography lab for decades, processing professional wedding photographers and stuff like that, right?
Correct. I was involved in two labs, one as a partnership and one as a sole proprietor, in the 80s through the later 2000s.
Mm-hmm. Harvesting that silver halide and sending it to Kodak for about 30 cents a pound or something back in the day.
Collecting our silver, and you come around and scrape it out.
That's in the old film days. I like to show people. This is the ancient technology of photography that what people don't realize with the digital cameras, Tom, is when they take a picture, it's free. It's free, it's free, it's free. You had to buy a 24 roll exposure film and maybe $10 at a good lab to get it exposed to see 24 pictures. That's 50 cents a picture. Okay. And today, it's amazing, isn't it?
Well, you were limited in those days to either 36, maximum 36 with 35 millimeter, and 24 with medium format. Now 2400 is nothing.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like today's photographers. I'm not going to say they're not talented, but they certainly can burn a lot of frames and get the right one. Whereas you and me, as professionals, we had to think a little bit, and timing was so important. Pushing that trigger, man, because I've been on a photography assignments and down to my last 10 shots on a roll of film. My film bag's in the car 3 blocks away, and the building's burning, and I got 10 frames left, type of thing. So, talk a little bit about what you've seen photography change in your career.
Well, the biggest change was the move from analog or film to digital. It really, in some ways, it devalued professional photography
Oh, yes.
because the ability for the non-professional photographer to get very good images
Mm-hmm.
just became, more available. I've had wedding photographers that when they switched to digital, they would be at a wedding and someone in the congregation taking pictures would have a better camera than he did. And it was funny because most of the photographers use medium format, wedding photographers. And, you know, then it switched over to digital, and it was just they could be out there shooting all day, and
Yeah.
you know
This is 35 millimeters across this film strip here. Medium format is traditionally 120. Okay, so almost 3 times wider than this, which means you get a better resolution. Today we call that megapixels.
Right.
Okay, but and then if you think about the 8 by 10 cameras of the true masters, and they were pioneered by Matthew Brady, Civil War photographer, and all that. That's a whole other ball game. But yeah, it's come back somewhat as a retro type of thing to shoot film cameras, but it certainly has. A lot of people, Tommy, have an artistic eye, and they can compose things and so forth. They don't know an f stop from a bus stop, but they still, have that sense of what makes a good picture. And with today's digital cameras, the exposure is, I mean, unless you're really doing things with your f stop. But do you concur with that as
I
a photographer here?
I
Good.
hear that. Yes.
Well, how? Tell us about when a bunch of professional shutterbugs get together for lunch. What was that like today? Tell us who you had lunch with.
Well,
Some
that
of our
was
friends know Joe Marino's been on this
Joe
show.
Marino,
Julian Leake, an
Carlton
excellent.
here,
Carlton
um,
Bailey's in the studio here. We'll
Red
bring Carlton
Huber,
on at the end to give us some love. Give him some love.
Red Huber, Mike Brown. He was
Red
Florida.
Huber, he's one of the legends.
Red Huber,
Yeah.
and he was Orlando Sentinel. Mike Brown was there from Florida Today. Um, Julian Leake was there, a freelancer, and who else? Carlton we had there. Who am I missing?
Greg Bailey.
Craig Bailey.
Oh,
I'm
Greg
sorry,
Bailey.
Craig
Good.
Bailey, who's currently with
USA
Florida
Today. Florida
Today.
Today.
Yes,
Mike Brown.
yeah,
Oh,
Mike,
you say
Mike,
okay.
Mike Brown. Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
So I mean, we were talking about the way things were, back in the shuttle days, and how it's not that way right now. I'm not active in it any longer, but some of the guys still have their hand in. Most of us there today were retired.
mhm.
Carlton's still active. Joe Marino is still active. But I think that's about it.
Julian,
Julian,
he
yeah.
chases the ambulances in the county.
Tell him about the photo op I arranged for you guys right in the middle of lunch.
Oh, well, we had a booster, returning SpaceX booster, Falcon 9 booster come by. And we all got up from the table and went out on the patio there and took some pictures. And I said to the waitress on the way out, we're not skipping out on you. We'll be right back in. We're just going to take some photos of the first stage going by
Or always floating by on the barge.
on the
You guys,
barge. Yeah.
that's always fun to see out there. Little extra for all you tourists and so forth. We're going to look at some of Tom's brag books here. A few beautiful pictures you took through your career. He's going to show us what the different lenses are on the medium format Hasselblad camera that we now have on exhibit here at our museum. And I dare say, does the Smithsonian have a remote camera system set up?
I don't know.
I don't think so. We might be the only museum in America that does. So, just things that we're bringing here into the museum to talk about emphatically the space worker, and you photographers are certainly a class of space workers. The media has their own little clique of acknowledgments. I know you caught your eye there on the wall, Mr. Hugh Harris's chronicler flag that was flown on a shuttle
Yeah.
when the late Hugh Harris was honored. Chroniclers is a Hall of Fame out at the news media that you're not in yet, and nor is Carlton, but it's something that was part of the media world that I'm not sure if it's part of them now or not.
I don't know. I don't believe they had a class this year or
Mhm.
a group induction. I don't think so. Do you know?
I've not heard.
But
I've not
the
seen anyone
chroniclers,
up there.
Yeah.
and
But
Hugh
that's
Harris.
nice. That's nice that the museum has Hugh's citation there.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have to show that to you. Marty, why don't you take that off the wall, please? Since we're sitting here talking, and thank you, Marty. Marty Winkle, my co-producer. I hate it when people are talking about things I can't see, you know. And boy, it must be up there. I made it so nobody could get it. Marty Winkle, my co-producer, cameraman, great person extraordinary. There's what we're talking about. The Chroniclers. Tell us what that is.
Well, the chroniclers are a list of writers, editors, NASA public affairs folks, photographers, filmmakers, anyone that contributed to the space media here at Kennedy Space Center um, was nominated and selected. You had to be, I believe, you had to be active for at least 10 years out there, and you had to be retired for, I don't know what the time period was on that, but there you had to be pretty much not active in any longer.
Hugh Harris, of course, the public affairs officer, known as the voice of the shuttle during the early halcyon days of cable news networks being coming on board there. He passed away a few years ago at age 92. We were privileged to get about 12 episodes of Stay Curious out of Hugh. This is a flag flown on Columbia, STS-87 in December 1997 there. So actual space flown flag. And thank you, Marty, for getting that off of there. Roy Bridges was the director. That
Again,
that
I'm
back in
glad
the
I'm
day.
glad the museum got that from his family.
Yeah, thank you. They bequeathed us quite a bit of stuff, and that's what happens. These legends of NASA pass away. We make sure when they're alive, we tell them, make sure your family knows what you have, what value it is, and then if you they don't want it, we certainly will find good homes for it. So let's look at some of your pictures here. This picture is way out of sequence. So let's go back this. Let's go back this way and show you the life and times of a rocket photographer. I kind of like that picture. I don't think either one of you are in that, but there's friends of yours in that picture. We'll see it in just a minute. So what have we got there, Tom?
Well, we have a photo collage of the last flight of an Apollo spacecraft. That is the launch sequence of ASTP, Apollo Soyuz Test Project, which took place in July 15th of 1975.
50 years ago when we had peace in Earth orbit, but not so much on the surface these days with Russia. Very nice.
I believe that's a 500 millimeter lens from the press.
Did you
from the
hand
press
crank
site.
that film through there, or is there a motor on that?
Now we had a motor then.
Uh-huh.
We didn't have a motor on any of our cameras until the last Skylab mission.
And you need a motor to advance your film quicker, so you can get through that 36 roll of film or 24. All right, here's another terrific shots.
Hey, this I put together to show the comparison. I asked my brother to scale it out so they're both the same, same relationship sizes to each other, and he used that by meshing parts of the mobile launcher together so they matched, and then that shows you the difference in size between the Saturn V on the left, that is the Skylab workshop launch, Skylab 1 to some, and on the right is the last Skylab, Skylab 4 or Skylab 3 to some people, depending on who's interpreting it. But they're both from the press site, both with I believe that they were either a 5 or 600 millimeter lens. Not positive.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. We've got Doug Forrest watching from Los Angeles area. Dougie, great to
Hi, Doug.
see him on board there. Let's see, what am I? Oh, there we go. I got the wrong one. Of course, RG Jubilee, she's staying curious with us, as is Steve Jokums up at Lake County Spaceport.
Hello,
He
Steve.
says hello to everybody. And Mark Thel, you also met Mark Thel at Shuttle Fest.
Okay, Mark. Hello. How are you?
He says happy Friday to us. Rosalie says, Tom, you make great pictures. Great job.
Thank you.
Dave Stangy, hello, Mark, Marty, and Tommy, watching with my grandson Jack today. He's excited to learn about space.
That's
And-
good.
And you're going to learn about cameras too here, Jack, with Grandpa. Mitch Rothman, the man space. Enjoyed talking to him last night. He was showing me he sent me a photo of the crescent moon off the mountain scene in his backyard there in western Colorado.
Mitch, good to hear from you.
Tom Celentano. Hi, I enjoy seeing Tom's work.
Thank you.
And then Steve Jokum says hi to CB there. And Oliver Brown, thank you for photographing all these wonderful space vehicles.
Well, you're quite welcome, Oliver. Glad you like it.
And Mark Usciak, your little brother, says, hey, big brother, glad your plane finally got in last night.
Yeah, finally, I managed to enter my hotel room last night at 2:48 a.m.
Whoa,
Yeah.
dang.
Plus, there's construction on the B line that I had to take, beach line, I'm sorry. Had to take a couple detours.
Uh-huh.
That threw me off,
Where'd
too.
you fly, Spirit?
No, I flew Breeze nonstop from
Breeze.
Lancaster, Pennsylvania, direct to Orlando. No stopping anywhere, no $15 a day parking fares.
Yeah.
The parking at Lancaster Airport is free.
Excellent. Gary Gerald says hello, everyone.
Hi, Gary.
Yep. And Dean Babcock's got a question. Tom, how difficult was it to get photo press passes for the Apollo Saturn V launches?
I met the qualifications by representing my college newspaper at the time. And I went through the same channels that anybody else did. It was, getting applying for accreditation. I'll let you know here. A friend of mine, David Chudwin, he's a retired doctor from Chicago. To best of our knowledge, he made the first request of a college student for press accreditation for Apollo 11, and he was granted that. So that sort of set a precedent there for college journalists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, David Chudwin was at our Shuttle Fest 4. Hope to see him at Shuttle Fest 5.
And I wasn't even thinking about going through the college, but my wife, who was my girlfriend then, told me, she said, you ought to go over and see the school newspaper if you want to go. Go talk to the advisor. So that's what I did. She literally pushed me in the door because I didn't think they would be, interested in it. Turns out they were, and I got 3-page photo coverage in the college newspaper.
Well, Vicky, glad that you're watching today. Appreciate that. We mentioned many times Marty, you on the Usciak family microphone, because you guys helped us buy these microphones here. So just one way that you've supported our museum in so many ways. Let's get to the shuttle era here. Now, these shuttle pictures, they're square. Why are they square?
They're square because that is the film size format of the Hasselblad camera. Just like if you look at the full images of the photographs from the moon, they're square. So the camera allows itself to be square, and it was designed to be that way so you could crop something horizontal or vertically a lot easier than you could with 35 millimeter as an afterthought.
All about ratios in a way, but
Right,
that's a gorgeous
exactly.
shot there. Do you remember that liftoff?
That was with a 150 millimeter lens.
Okay, you photographers out there, this is on a medium format camera.
That's what you would call a moderate medium telephoto.
Okay. And that one?
That one is with a little tighter lens. That one's with a 250 millimeter lens and back a little bit.
You crop that out from the square.
Correct. I cropped that out. It was cropped that way because it was published that way. And I just kept the scan that it was published in. That is STS-95, John Glenn's flight.
Kurt Brown's in the left seat there, and John Glenn's they're taking the ride to space at age 77. Think about that.
Now here we're getting in a little close. Well, not really. This is with has about a 500 millimeter lens. And one of the drawbacks from the Hasselblad camera is that it had a very slow frame rate as compared to what we have today. Today we have cameras, consumer cameras that shoot 12 frames a second, maybe even more now. I'm not sure, but the Hasselblad shot 2 frames a second if you had a good battery in it and your battery was at full power. So the next shot on that roll, basically the whole orbiter was practically out of it, and
That was the sweet shot right there in the middle of
we
three,
wanted
probably.
we wanted to see the booster come up right up off the pad.
Wow, that's a spectacular. And to be Challenger, one of 10 Challenger launches. Which one was that?
That was 51B,
51.
Space Lab.
Okay.
Space Lab 3, I believe. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Gordon Fullerton was, no, not Gordon Fullerton was, I'm mistaken.
Bob
Bob
Make me
Overmeyer.
consult the
No.
scroll, Tommy.
Okay, Bob Overmeyer was the commander of that.
51,
B.
about 41B. No, Overmeyer?
Overmeyer, 51B.
Yep, 51B. Fred Gregory, who Marty saw today at Space Center on that one. Lind, Thagard, Thornton, Bill Thornton, Vandenberg, and Wang. That's the one we were talking about, Marty, with Wang and Fred Gregory. We've talked about that one there. That was the 7th flight of Challenger with Space Lab 3, boys. You were right on about that. Consulted my shuttle scroll here. That, as you can see,
Yeah,
astronauts.
you might have to redo your scroll
I have
here.
to sell it. I got about 6 astronauts.
Oh, yeah, you know
5
what?
launch
And
directors.
There's you.
There's Hugh Harris on there.
Yeah.
Tom Jones.
Oh,
Mike
definitely.
Leinbach.
I didn't know there were signatures on there at
Oh
first.
yeah, you bet.
Oh, that's definitely, that should be in the museum, like in a display case.
And so let's segue to the real story today is the equipment, and the piece of equipment that we now have on proudly on display, like we think no other space museum does. This is a beautiful example of what? Tell me what.
Well, what we have here is a complete setup in the field on the crawlerway. In the background, there is the shuttle on the pad. The rotating service structure is still up around it. And then on the right is the frame, the sequence actually, that camera took.
I like seeing the frame, the row of the fence row there. So you see how
Right,
that
there's your
matches up.
common, yeah, you can see the fence in both frames.
Now, something I'll point out to you non-photographers is probably a risky place to put this, because look at all the cloud from the SRBs coming out, or is that steam?
That's steam
white
from the
steam
main engines.
from
The
main
SRB
engines, yeah.
goes out the other way.
SRB's dirty on the other side. But it
It's
obscures it, and lo and behold, it comes out of it.
well,
That's
I'll
gorgeous.
tell you a little story on this one.
Please do.
Bob Preston was with me. Carlton was on this one. This was Carlton's first remote.
Is that 26?
26, yeah. And we were out there. This was the last setup, and we were debating on what lens to use. I wanted to use a 150, which is again the moderate medium telephoto. And I kept looking at that, and Bob kept saying no. He says, I don't feel good about that 150 lens. He says, I don't know how high the exhaust is going to go. Let's not do that. I said, you sure? I said, well, I set the other. I said, okay.
You set one camera, let him
Well,
set that one.
I said, this is yours. Your call on the lens, because we shared everything when we were out there. He was working for a different group than I was that day.
Bob Preston.
Bob Preston was, but we all owned the equipment together. Myself, Mark, Steve, and Bob. And okay, and then he got that. And then that shot also from the Aviation and Space Writers Association won best space shot of the year in '89.
Awesome. What was that of?
26. That
26.
frame right there.
That
That's
frame
the
right
26.
there. That was the
Yep.
best shot of the year.
That
Aviation
for
Space-
space journalism.
Wow.
Journalism.
There you go. No wonder why. Well, photographers, like a lot of professionals in the professions where there's a lot of hurry up and wait, I call it, are a special bonded group, aren't they?
They are, as I said before, both in the print and the image groups. The space community here, I observe to be a very small, close community. I mean, guys out there would help each other. They would, if somebody had a problem or needed a roll of film, or a battery was bad, or any little glitch that came up once you were on that bus and went out into the field there, you'd find people helping. Bob, one time when we were out setting another camera up, there was a fellow that we both knew for years. He was over this camera and he was starting to walk away from it. And Bob said, "Hey, pull your dark slide." Because he had a Hasselblad too.
Oh.
And he had actually started to walk away and forgot to pull his dark slide. And if you do that, if you don't pull your dark slide, the camera's not going to run.
Right, yeah, you're not going to get nothing there. So, Marty's got a question on that Usciak family microphone.
Yeah, Dean Babcock is asking, Tom, is it possible to view a gallery of your photos on the internet?
It hasn't been up to now, but I'm getting enough requests that yes, I'm going to do that here in the next few months. I guess I'll have to start a website. I don't have my own website or anything like that, so I'll create a website, or maybe we'll put one up on the museum and link it to that. But yeah, we'll definitely do something here in the short term.
Martin Jarna says, would be nice one day to see your book with your amazing artistic pictures in bookstores.
Well, I'd like to do that. That's a tough nut to crack sometimes to get in there. There's so many space books out there. But who knows? I mean, if I sit down and just go to work on it one day.
Well, we do know one thing that we've talked about with the Usciak brothers is doing an American Space Museum calendar with their work and other artists, Carlton, Chris Callie's artwork and so forth like that. And we'll do that. I don't know if we'll get, may have to look at 2028, maybe 2027, but
27 might be doable.
I'd really like to really like someone to take control of that and make that happen. So, well, let's look at some of the brethren pictures there. There's your little brother, Mark, in the middle, and Godzilla fan there on the left. There's Carlton Bailey, and that was probably right around 1988 STS 26.
No, that was STS 114.
Oh, 114.
That was the first time we had digital. That's a digital frame. The first time we had digital cameras. In fact, the only film camera that we used for 114 was the Hasselblad that we put out along Beach Road for remotes. Everything else was Canon. I think, what were they then? 20Ds, I think. Well, they're up to 90Ds now or past the...
Oh, that's
so, I mean, yeah.
Look at the photographers over your shoulder there.
Mm-hmm.
When you see a photograph, like a tourist photograph of people looking at the shroud, anything, it's like, I like the picture of the 30 to 100 people that are beside you taking the same picture, on there. And that was the thing I wanted to point out of the camaraderie and helpfulness of photographers, yet they're in competition with each other to get a better picture. Who's going to get the better picture? It's sort of like being an athlete in a way, where you're in competition, yet after the game and before the game, you're all friends and willing to help each other. And I've always enjoyed that friendly competition. When I worked with Associated Press and had local papers beside me, and Reuters and UPI and so forth. So who was going to get the shot? So you're trying to think of how to outwit, with your setup and so forth. So there's CB and you back in the day. Now, I show some of these pictures, folks, to let you all know this is a wildlife preserve where you are putting your cameras. It is inclined to rain a lot in the afternoons in Florida. And so how do you take care of that? Does
Well,
did you take rattlesnake
nah,
repellent with
I
you or
knew, I would listen. I was always wary of those fellas. You know, when not out the open, but we would walk back those little paths. You know, I'm looking around. You know, and this and that, and then I don't
yeah,
know.
like this little path that you guys are back there on?
Yeah, that one there in particular, but I think that's Mark. Yeah, that's Mark in that picture with Carlton. Yeah, that's my brother. And anyway, there was one time, I think Carl, did you talk about that when that snake showed up in the gully? Where you talk? Well, that was at the Shuttle Fest when we were talking about that. You said they found a rattlesnake over in the culvert there,
We had a rattlesnake at one of the setups.
set up sites, and he said everyone from the bus and most of it were running over trying to get pictures. I stayed back on the bus. I didn't get close, you know. Uh, but
Well,
no,
Carlton's the wildlife management guy over there. So,
I don't like
Alligators
snakes.
would show up a lot.
well, there was mosquitoes. There was the environment of heat. I know in the past year or so they've gotten more conscious. You go out on a bus together, right? Everybody's in one or two buses or more.
Buses and in the shuttle days back toward the end, and well, even before that, they would have vans going out to specific locations. They used to call them specials. So they'd take so many here to this spot, because you had your newcomers. There was new people coming in all the time, but then you had your guys like myself and Carl and these guys that we had lunch with today, and they had shot so many from there. We were always looking for new places to
Yeah.
go, and finally, and then when they opened up and let it become a little bit more spots be more accessible, then we would go to some of those while the other folks that didn't have the experience would stay in what was called the regular, like site 1, site 2, site 3.
Mhm.
So, but
Well, you
I don't
had
believe they don't do that anymore, from what I understand.
Okay, but you had your biggies, Time, Newsweek, Life magazine photographers. They would expect to have preferential treatment, wouldn't they, Tom?
They would like it.
Yeah, but they had the power of the consumer, that said, look, we've got millions of people watching our stuff there. Marty, who's got another question on that Usciak family microphone?
Yeah, Michael Bruno is asking, did you ever get any pictures in the interior of the crawler transporter?
No, I was on top of it. Actually, the only I got in the driver's cab, but that was back in the 70s. That was when we were down here covering Apollo. We'd come down a few days before, and they'd give us a special tour, and we went in then to the driver cab.
Well, we've sold a calendar to Dean Babcock and Steve Jokums already, so good. We'll plant the seed there, and no, I think that's some low hanging fruit, and maybe I can get some time, to kind of outline it. But your brother and I've talked about it.
Well,
Just
since
like
I can
everything
get
else.
since I can get down here now for less than what it would cost me for parking
Yeah.
and gas, we'll come back in the spring and we'll work that out.
We can work something out there. So, and so let's look at one reason why you're here is beautiful, not just action shots of shuttles, but this we used on our first Shuttle Fest program there.
Right.
What a gorgeous.
And that was with the Hasselblad. And again, that is composed for a square.
evening or morning twilight.
That is sunset.
Uh-huh.
And then they're just in the process of turning the lights on, the xenon lights on the orbiter there, and they come on. They come on. Yeah, STS-5. They come on little at a time. They just don't hit the button and they all light up. They come on
Oh, do they?
in
Okay.
sequence. Yes.
Well, that was one of my favorite pictures of you guys taking there. So
I
that'd
mean,
be
we
cool.
looked at it. We looked at it already as a horizontal or a vertical. It never goes a horizontal. We looked at it as a vertical, and it just looked crammed. You know what I mean when a picture looks crammed.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't work.
Well, that will certainly work. So this is what took some of these beautiful pictures and what we have here in our museum. Why don't you explain uh, what this is the camera, and then what's the other device up there?
Okay. What we're seeing here is the camera that's here in the museum right now, the tube and the white camera mounting plate, and the sound monitoring hardware is at the top there in the upper half of the tube. And that was the original concept of the triggers. They were in a long, slim aluminum box. And what we did, and what's on display here at the museum now, is a smaller, they call them Pelican boxes. That's the original. That's the original. That's not what's here. That's what's here now. So we changed the box, the hardware in there is the same. We just rearranged how it was, and it was a lot easier to open and close that and service it if we had to change the batteries or if there was a problem with it. We could go out and change it much easier than opening up that.
So that's a
slim line.
weatherproof case there, like
Yes.
a mailbox situation,
Mhm.
sort of in a way. And the yellow part is
That's the open lid to the sound trigger. So we just lift that
sound
up and
trigger
close
right
it.
there at the top. There.
Yeah, the sound trigger's up there, which right there shows, like I said, it's the same equipment. It was just an off-the-shelf Radio Shack decibel meter that people would use to do what it was said is a decibel meter. And Bob and Steve did a little bit of electronic magic on it and changed it so when the needle would reach a certain point there, it would close a relay, and that would cause the camera to run.
Mhm.
Steve Nolde and Bob Preston are the reason that system exists the way it is there.
They were your technical advisors.
Steve designed it, and Steve and Bob assembled it. Bob had input too, as far as the type of resistors, transistors, relays, everything like that, because Bob worked in the electronics field at that time. But it was all four of us, you know. It was all for one and one for all.
RCA relays, sir, and as you see me installing just a few hours ago, this we think it's a beautiful exhibit. Marty, go ahead.
Yeah, back up on that picture, Mark.
Back up.
Or I'll back it up.
Back up.
Well, wait a minute. That one right there.
Okay.
Tom, just for fun, is that arrow telling you which way the camera's pointing?
That arrow tells me which way where the microphone is.
Okay. We do have a question, a comment. We got a comment from your brother Mark. He says that your little black dog missed sleeping with you last night.
Yeah, from what I understand, my little black dog at home had the entire bed to herself.
Oh yeah.
And she's the size of a cat. She's more of a cat than a dog.
What's her name?
Erica.
Erica.
Then we got a
Okay.
question from RG Jubilee. Has anybody fallen into the swamp? Taking pictures or setting up?
Not that I know of. Carl, do you ever know anybody, slipping and falling in the water?
No, I know people that have stepped in the mud and gotten up and their boots have been stuck. So when they come out, their boots stay stuck in the mud, but that's as
Tom's making the comment, wow, Radio Shack. For all you baby boomers out there. Yeah, Radio Shack.
Radio Shack
I
was
miss
my
Radio
go-to
Shack.
place. I miss it big time.
Yeah.
Not only that, they had great scanners. I
Yeah,
used
they
to
had
come down
great
here with my
toys.
scanner and listen to public affairs.
They have great toys. Oh, really? You could
Yeah.
hear the public affairs?
Yeah, one day I saw what frequency their walkie-talkies were on, and I just punched it into my scanner, and I was listening to them moving escorts around, and
Huh.
yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. All right. Well, here I am doing the install here of two posters around this beautiful display we think here. There's Najma Perez, our employee here that is now helping do some of the cases in there with you there. So you all see a good idea of what you're looking at there. It's just beside our tribute to the Columbia and Challenger astronauts, and over by our EVA, that's a little piece of our um, tile that you can all hold there. So what do y'all think there? The unveiling of our new gallery here, showing
Love it.
remote control. Your
And
brother Mark put those posters together for us,
correct.
and just got them printed yesterday at Staples. And there's your award-winning picture there in the middle that you all gave us a few years ago. So hope that you can all come in our museum and check it out. Basically, what's all this saying there?
Well, basically, it's saying what remote cameras were, how they were used, and then the second paragraph is a little bit more of the specifics of our system, and then the last paragraph there uh, gives note to Steve and Bob for designing and building.
Helene Herbert, or Helene Milbert Herbert. Helene, great that you're on today.
Hey,
Her
Helene.
dad was one of the pioneering photographers out there that she's doing a book on. DePhilip, Frank. I want to say Frank. Is that his first name? DePhilip, your dad.
Philip, I
Um,
believe, but I'm not positive.
Anyway, Helene, a great supporter of our museum. She has photos of RCA photographers waiting in the swamp. She also likes how the install looks here. Thought she had another question. Oh, she's looking forward to collaborating with Usciaks in any manner. Maybe she could be our calendar producer there.
I'm looking forward to working with her.
but,
She came to my home a year or so ago, and we went through lots and lots of photos. She happened to be in the area.
Yeah, Helene and her husband Todd, great people doing great things in the community. And remote camera launch photography. So here's again a poster of the work done with this camera that's on display here.
There's a potpourri
We're
of
so proud. I think it's just
different shots, different lenses, different remote camera sites, and then at the bottom there, that's an interesting little collage I put together. I put that together for
the bottom two photos.
right, the bottom two photos. I put that together for Shuttle Fest last year when we were talking about the Hubble telescope, and on the left side is a picture that was taken from the press area, manned camera locations. And the photo on the right was taken by our remote camera out in the field there. They're synced together very, very closely to show what the remote camera would see versus what you would see at the press site, which isn't really too much of the shuttle until it clears the tower. But with the remote camera, you would see it the whole climb out sequence.
Gorgeous. What do y'all think of our new exhibit here, showcasing the work of remote photography by the Usciak brothers? And that's Don DePhillips.
Don DePhillips.
Don DePhillips is one of the pioneering photographers. Helene Milbert's dad, and she's putting a book together. I think it'll be an exciting book. No one's done a book of photographers. And when you think about it, how in the world do people know what anything looks like without the photography? Okay. I've been a writer also, and writing is a skill. But as they say, Tommy, a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Yeah.
And the skill set of a photographer and the patience, as well as I keep saying, the hurry up and wait. That's why I've never have gotten credentialed out to Space Center, because I have heart disease and have had stents put in my heart. And the hurry up and wait when it's 90 degrees out, I don't want to put my body through that selfishly. I'll let Carlton risk his life out there doing it, okay? Because he won't stop. All right. He's addicted to photography. You know why? An addict to rocket photography is one of the worst things because they don't want to miss a rocket launch because that might be the one that goes, oops. And of the hundreds that you photographed, and you see one that goes, oops, and you'll kill yourself. You'll say, why wasn't I there to see
I
that?
slept through the last 5 middle of the night SpaceX though.
Yeah, I've slept through a bunch of them lately myself too. But am I kind of right though? You know, it's where you're not fatalistic, but it is your career to photograph anomalies that happen, and
Just like when you have a special mission. I'll give you, for instance, STS-95 was John Glenn's return to space. Now, there were close to 3,000 press there. All the networks, all the, cable shows, the major networks, everyone. So it came to close to 3,000 celebrities. Ted Williams was there, Jimmy Buffett was there. So that now the mission before that had maybe 200 to 250 press
wow.
to 3,000, and then the next one was back to those 3-digit numbers instead of those 4-digit numbers. Yeah. So it just goes to show you that what brings them out is something different.
Yes.
John Glenn, well, he's going back into space after 37, 38 years.
At age 77,
That'll
he'd never been to space before.
That'll
My
bring
God,
him out.
Yeah. And there are certain shuttle missions that stand out definitely, and that's one of them. 51L, 26, then of course 95, the Hubble 30s that deploy, and of course 107 Columbia, and then the last three we all remember and want photos of, and that's how we know what's going on. Well, I've enjoyed talking about your career and hope you all have too out there and have learned something about the skills. And Michael Bruno says he thinks John Glenn's return to space was the safest flight in history.
Could very well be.
And Dean Babcock can't wait to see it at Shuttlefest 5. Neither can Steve Jokums there. You'll be seeing it during our fundraising Friday event here on June 19th is when we'll have that here at the museum. And so start throwing your $20 bills in that mayonnaise jar, okay, and bring them to our fundraising Friday there. So, Tommy, you always have a fun, it's always fun to be a photographer. Let's face it, you meet a lot of cool people. I was always, it felt great when I show up at the back stage door and open it up and I got the cameras draped around me and the bouncer says, they've been waiting for you. Get down 3 doors down the hall. The cameraman's here. So it's always a fun thing to be the cameraman.
Yeah.
How about you? Do you enjoy that?
Yeah, I like to see different things. I enjoyed photographing people at these missions. And my brother especially, he has a much bigger catalog than I do. For example, I bring this story up a lot because it just floored me. STS-3 was right around the time that the sequel to Star Trek movie was coming out.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm there at the press site, and I turn around like that, and there standing is James Doohan, Scotty, Star Trek, And right about here, off to my left, there was a representative from one of the contractors that was there giving a little talk on his payload or his experiment or something. I don't remember what it was because I was trying to get some shots. And as soon there was few media people there, and as soon as they saw Scotty, they just walked away from that guy and went over and started saying, "Hey, What's gonna happen? Is the Spock really die in the next movie?
Really?
You can't be killing Mr. Spock. That's not right. He says, I can't tell you that, and he used the Scotty voice for that. He goes, I can't tell you that.
He
But
did use
to
the
hear
Scotty's
him, but to
voice.
hear him talk, he's a. They said he was a master of dialects in the acting world.
James
But
Doohan.
if you would be listening to him talking to me like you are right now, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know he played Scotty.
Huh. Great stories like that all the time. By the way, and you have met some people. I did enjoy seeing a beautiful interview with Tom that the Lancaster TV station did with you
Yes.
a while back, and you shared it. Go to his Facebook page; you might find it on there. But that was quite a retrospective that lady did on your work, and it was really, really
Thank
well
you.
done. You were quite articulate in that, like you were today. But yes, it's good to be a photographer in the Usciak brothers once in a while where you get to uh, see Hoot Gibson and presenting a picture of him and his wife kissing there.
This was at
Ray said.
Ray said this was at one of the later space fests in Tucson, and we had so many pictures. I mean, you always shoot more than you use, and you always have a surplus. So I started going through my book, and Hoot's a great guy, and this isn't the first time we've been around him. And I said, why don't we make a printed book? Because the shot on the cover there, from that's Mark's shot at I think it was I don't know. If my brother still listened, maybe he could tell where that picture of Hoot and Rhea was taken at. But he moved into a position where he was the only one that got that shot because he wasn't being blocked by the flowers.
Uh-huh.
So he got into that position and took that picture. So we made that the cover. And then we went through all of Hoot's missions and put a little conglomeration of photos from each of his flights and made a photo book out of that. So that's a printed photo book from, I don't know, I think it was Shutterfly. And they did a nice job.
Well, there is a chance we could have Hoot at Shuttlefest 5. And that's all I'm going to say right now. But there is an opportunity that he may be coming. The hook is he's going to have a new book coming out. And the publisher might be interested in coming to Shuttlefest 5 promoting that book.
That'd be a great thing to do.
Astronauts coming to future Shuttlefest is not a problem anymore. We are blessed that we have them wanting to come. It's incredible because this guy has helped build it with your brother and Chris Calley and leading us to some great people that we've now incorporated. Your John Tilco's, your on and on and on. I leave somebody out talking about it, but thank you, because this is important to us in a fundraiser. How about this guy? What a legend of space. Marty's got a question before we talk about Jack Lausma there. Marty, what's the question?
I got a question from Mostly Parked. Do you have shots with the painted external tank, STS 1 and 2?
102.
No, 1 and 2.
Oh, 1 and 2. Yes, I do. Not as many as I did later on in the program, but I do have some of the white tanks.
Good. And we found out that ring around the top of STS-1 that you call that's called the belly ring. Oh, you weren't here for that. Yeah. Eric Baker calls it the belly ring. They call it around there. It was,
Right. And on 1, they painted it. It was black around there. And on 2, it was there, but it wasn't highlighted in black.
Yeah.
So that's one of the ways you can always tell if
Yeah.
a shuttle on the pad or rollout or anything is STS-1 or STS-2, whether it has the black ring at
around
the top
very
of the tank.
top of the tank, right about in here, this area up here. And you've corrected us at an auction or two where a picture had erroneously won. So those are fun things to learn about, as well as the black chines of Columbia that we talk about that distinguishes it. But I'm going to tell you something. I have been the privilege to meet some my share of astronauts in the last 6 years I've been to face this museum. This is one of the most extraordinary ones I've ever met.
He's a fine man. His family is very, very nice. Daughter Mary is friends with Mark and I both. I'm Facebook friends with his son Tim, um, his wife Gracia. Mark has been to their home already in Kerrville, Texas, and at the same Space Fest that we gave Hoot the book, we gave him a remote. That's from our remote camera. That's the first launch with the brown fuel tank of STS-3.
Yeah, his launch there ended up in White Sands. Of course, Mark was there. We've talked about that story many times. And because of this guy and his brother, there is a chance that we might have Jack Lausma at Shuttlefest 5. And we already have um, Norm Thagard committed, a legend of history, the first American to live on a Russian spaceship and be launched on one, that you were there to photograph. All right, we didn't put a picture of you at Kazakhstan in there, but you did have the privilege of going to Kazakhstan and
Yes,
freezing your butt off, right?
absolutely froze. The camera that is on display out here in the museum floor is the same camera and lens that I had in Kazakhstan at Baikonur Cosmodrome when it was like 15 degrees below zero. And it was a manual focus lens, and the grease, the lubrication, the grease in there froze, that I could not turn the lens. I mean, I couldn't do it with my glove. I took my glove off and I tried to turn it this way. I ended up almost cutting my hands from the focusing ring out there. It has ridges in it. So I had to go and I had to do a lot of shots that I wanted to do with the Hasselblad over there. I had to do with the 35 millimeter autofocus camera that had electric motor in the focus. It didn't turn anything. So yeah, little cold.
And they launched that Soyuz rocket no matter what the weather. There's hardly ever a scrub, no matter what's going on.
When it's time to go, it's bye-bye.
Time to go. A couple more pictures here. Like I mentioned, Chris Callie on the left there with you, and in the middle is Chris's dad, Paul Callie, who is such another hidden figure of the space age. Paul Callie, one of the first of 8 artists that James Webb, the director of NASA, let out at the Space Center and to do his thing. And I've learned so much about Mr. Paul Callie from his son Chris there. And of course, you led us to Chris, and like you and Mark and Chris, we talk to each other every week. I just wish I could have met Mr. Callie there. But
He was very interesting to talk to. It's the only time we met him. We were at his table, he and Chris's table at Space Fest for the banquet, and that's how we met.
He designed the moon stamp that everybody has laying around in on some envelope in your junk drawer or wherever up there in there. So that's a fitting picture there.
Chris designed the stamp for the 20th anniversary of Apollo 11.
That he did.
That was unveiled at the Air and Space Museum.
And we feature Chris's work every chance we get. He's into these beautiful montages now, and he is, as we speak, making a montage for Shuttlefest 5. He did a beautiful one of Eileen Collins for Shuttlefest 4.
Yes, it was very nice.
Final shot. Where's that taken?
Stephen F. Udvar Hazy Annex of the National Air and Space Museum. And you see Discoveries in the middle, and that's where I hope it stays. We don't want the doors to open, and I don't want to see an orbiter backed out of there again because they're talking they want to try and get it into Houston.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to do it without damaging it. Not only do they have to take it apart and transport it there safely, they have to reassemble it there. I don't know.
And it would
It
certainly
belongs
be a
there.
Frankenstein assembly, that nothing like the integrity of this beautiful spaceship they don't take aircraft carriers apart and they keep them intact. Anyway, it's
And another point here is there were 3 orbiters that went on display. Talking with Valerie Neal a few years ago at Air and Space, she said Discovery was, when it came to the Air and Space Museum, it was the one that was in closest to the way it ended up on the runway. A lot of things, now certain things had to be taken out of all of them for safety, propellants, residue in the OMS pods and the forward reaction control. But there was a lot of other things that were removed from the other 2 that were not removed from Discovery. So the more you have to take apart, disconnect,
well,
I
just
have
don't
my-
get you started there.
don't get me
Let's
started.
bring
on
Carlton in
that.
over
That'll be
here.
another.
CB,
That'll
come
be
over here,
another
buddy.
show. Come on, CB.
Yeah, get in between us here. But yes, Marty, thank you for making it available for me to see that beautiful spaceship.
Help me back up there.
Here's Carlton Bailey. What I liked about seeing Discovery was the connections to the tank there on the bottom there.
Mhm.
And they even have cameras in there and stuff like that.
Yeah,
to photograph the ET tank. coming
ET
over.
tank doors. Yeah.
Yeah. So hey, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good.
What you got on here? You got the cat on a shark.
Astronaut cat.
Astronaut cat riding a shark in space. All
Astrocat.
right.
Aristocat.
The Aristocat there. So you have befriended this man about 1988. STS-26 would have been
86.
there.
What 86? It was. We met at the White House.
We
So
met
80
at the White House.
Yeah.
We were there for the release of the Challenger. The Challenger. Whatever they call that. The report. on
Right,
What happened.
right.
And
The
we were
Rogers. The Rogers
Rogers
Commission.
Rogers Commission report.
Yeah.
And we had talked before on landlines and faxes, and I still got some of those faxes that I kept. But the first time we physically met was at the White House, and that's how I got to know him. And then by the time that STS-26 flew, we had put together a box, and they helped me set up that, and that was my first successful launch. And
Tommy
then-
had some training to
Actually,
had some learning for
well,
you to
before I
do.
go any further,
I'm a pack rat.
I want to thank this guy on behalf of my brother and Steve and Bob for all the help and assistance he's given us over the years. He would help when I couldn't be here. We would go over camera setups. I mean, we had charts, graphs, drawings, you name it. I needed a certain shot, but I couldn't be there. I ask him to put it exactly here, and that's what happened. We stored our equipment in his place. We stayed at his place, ate his food.
Pet his cats.
But I used to leave a lot of film there as payment for the food. So
Okay.
back in the film days.
I learned from the best.
But one of the things that Carlton showed me today, and I forgot about this, was Carlton. This was his first exposure to
Let me hold that up.
working with Hasselblad cameras
You
with
can
square
explain.
square format. So this was a setup that he did, and when I got it back and processed it and I ran it, I noticed that it's a great shot. In fact, it still is as a good horizontal. But I said, now I wrote notes on the borders there. I said, in the future, lower the pads in the picture a little, and we'll get a couple more shots, because in the next shot, remember I said that the Hasselblad was a slow running camera.
Yeah. That's cool.
And the next frame, about half the tank and boosters was out of the frame. So we went over that. I showed him how a Hasselblad crop's different from a 35 or a square format, any square format, and that's how we worked back and forth.
The hardest thing I had to learn about the Hasselblad was that when you looked through the down viewfinder, which when you see the exhibit out here, you'll see when you look through the viewfinder, you're seeing it backwards. So what you're seeing is not what you're getting. You're getting the opposite of what you're looking at. So you had to think backwards in your mind that this is the left, but it's really the right, and this is the right, and it's really the left, and up is down and down is up. And for me at the beginning, it was hard to figure these things out, but eventually I worked it out, I think.
We remedied that rather quickly.
Kodak paper there. Some good
Yeah.
stuff there. That's
That is an original.
what image is that? What shot? What?
It's Columbia. it looks like.
Columbia, I think that was 93.
Yeah, frame that and put that up there next to your Godzilla actor pictures up there. So, we talk about Carlton all the time. We showed some of your pictures. Carlton, that Atlas shot the other morning. That light couldn't have been any more perfect.
It's perfect.
that
Everything.
was-
There was
that
no
was-
heat waves, no
Yeah,
clouds.
that was one of the crispest
I-
shots I've seen.
I got it
a long
back. I'm
time.
like, well, these are and that was a non-autofocus lens.
Uh-huh.
And for an old guy with bad eyes to get something that sharp, I was really happy.
Well, that was pretty,
And
pretty.
thank you for the compliment.
Well, we appreciate you letting us use your work. We enjoy doing that, and that's we also share some other work out there. Chris Lay Marie's he's actually doesn't have much gray hair, so that's why we're trying to help him come along. He's a good guy. He got the transit of the rocket in front of the sun the other day. That was awesome. So and
There's one thing I don't understand about that. I know it's an app and I know it tells you where to go, but I never saw the readout on the phone or whatever, the tablet or laptop or whatever they're
Yeah.
working off of, to show what does it show in there, and maybe someone could enlighten me on
I
that,
don't even know the name of the app. They keep that a secret from me.
and just how you line up.
I think it's
I'm not a
I think
threat.
it's
I'm not a threat to any of these
it's-
guys
it's-
anymore.
yeah,
I was just
think
curious.
You just have to. It
Curious.
gives you a GPS, and you put your
The,
coordinates in and walk around till you figure out where it is. But
Yeah, I mean, is it like an ILS where the two needles converge?
well,
or...
the first one, the guy got at Wallops was the first one after like 20 some years. He used the app and I commented on it and he wrote back and we conversed and he said it was funny because there was a little delay in their launch and he was standing at one point and because it was delayed 15 minutes or something, his little app changed it when recalculating and says, okay, move to your left 15 feet or something.
yeah,
Probably a little bit more technical than that, but he had to move and it updated in real time as to exactly where he had to go and how many feet and where to stand.
Yeah, but you hit it without all that
And film.
electronics and film.
well, we're here today to talk about to thank Mark Usciak and Tom Usciak and Bob Preston and Steve Nolte. I've met Steve. He's been to our Shuttle Fest. To thank you guys for this display here that we have proudly put up there to talk about some great photographers' work and let you as a guest see a little bit behind the scenes of what it takes to take these fabulous shots of recording American space history. So thank you, Tom, for so much on there.
Always
what do you
a
think
pleasure.
What do you think of the display there?
I think it's magnificent. I'm jealous that his is out there and mine isn't, but then mine's not very aesthetically pleasing.
We may
looking,
let
but
you one day bring your little characters
He-
in that
one
your
of-
Godzilla and your little whatever.
Yeah, why don't you get a picture of Fozzie on
One
top
of
that
one of
thing,
his remotes did survive a Delta explosion, though. The one that blew up right over the pad. One of his Hasselblads. Well, at that launch, it was my Hasselblad, you see, and it was out there, and it survived the flaming debris of a Delta that came down, and
Wow, that's
we have
something
pictures
else.
of that.
Thanks to Naj there for helping us put this together. She's been a good employee. Career Sources. Actually, we get different agencies paying for an employee of ours once in a while, and she's done an excellent job.
She's doing a
She
very
was
good
excited
job.
to help me there with that.
If it
so-
wasn't for him and Mark, I wouldn't be sitting here. I might still be married, having a real job.
Yeah.
So I'd like to thank you
Or
for
really retired.
saving me from all of that and making my life so wonderful.
Marty Winkle, have you got anything to add to today's wonderful program? Ending a great week of Stay Curious. We're up to about 1,370 episodes, maybe. We'll get the hang of it here pretty soon. Marty, what have you got to say on that UCX family microphone?
We're ready to go.
Do you like the exhibit? And
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, exhibit's great. It's been about 5 or 10 minutes after you set it up, looking at the camera, reading the graphics. It's very interesting.
Are we going to read our roster here of who was on?
Oh yeah, we have to separate ourselves from the pack, and this is one way we're going to do it. Why don't you guys thank our wonderful viewers today?
Well, I'll take the first two, and then
Okay.
okay, we have Doug Forrest, R.G. Jubilee, Steve Jokum, Mark Thell, Dave Stange and his grandson Jack. Jack is my grandson's name too, Jackson. Mitch Rothman, Martin Jarina, Tom Celentano, Oliver Brown, little brother, Gary Jarrell, Dean Babcock. Finish it off.
Elena, oh, thanks.
Adhikara.
Elaine Adhikara, Elaine Milbert. Glad to see you're watching. Helene. I'm a photographer, not a writer. I don't know how to spell. And is that Michael Bruno?
That's it.
And yeah, Helene. Yeah, we'll work on my
Helene.
Helene. What do I know? We work on my book and calendar too.
There you go. Well, we give you a month. We're going to give you Halloween month. We're going to give you Rocktober probably.
Okay.
Put something in there. So anyway, thank you all for watching today. Seriously, these are two awesome gentlemen that have taken art museum to the next level with the ideas that they have embraced that we've done here. Appreciate it so much. I know they're out in the community talking about the American Space Museum and all that we're doing, because we feel like we're doing something very important. We are preserving American space history where it all began, Brevard County, Florida. And these are two photographers that have recorded some of that history, and it's our duty to share what we have with you all. So thanks, guys, and
Thank you
for everything.
Appreciate
there. Where are we eating, at the Moonlight Drive-In or where tonight?
You call it. Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, we'll have them fix you up one of them specially well done hamburgers I know you like.
Yeah, it's like a place at home where I live called the Freeze and Frizz.
There you go, Betty. So,
same kind of place.
Thanks you guys for being a friend and supporting our museum. Thank you all for being a friend and supporting our museum.
Thank you.
And it makes a difference that you share, tell people to watch us, and support our American Space Museum. So until next week, I'm Mark Marquette saying we can't wait to see you again to what?
Bridge
Bridge
the
the
space between us.
Thank you.